Hey guys, so Lord here, back again with another action figure review. Today I'll be taking a look at the TMNT X Universal Monsters, Casey Jones as the Phantom of the Opera, brought to us by the fine folks over at Neca Toys. This is the next installment in the TMNT Universal Monsters crossover line we'll be taking a look at on my channel, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I am reviewing these in chronological order, because the first one ever released in this line was the Raphael as Frankenstein's monster, and the last one I reviewed on this channel was the April O'Neil as the Bride of Frankenstein. And if I'm not mistaken, Casey Jones as the Phantom here is the next installment in the line. Shortly followed by Donatello as the Invisible Man, who we will be taking a look at later today, since Halloween falls on a Tuesday in the year 2023, for those of you watching this in the future. We're going to do a 2 for Tuesday. Twice the fun, twice the Halloween fun. I hope you guys are ready for it. I know I am. And the only reason I'm doing these two today, not only because it's Halloween, but because I did not obtain the Figura Obscura Headless Horseman 2 or the Blue Hagnon from Four Horsemen Studios quite yet. As of the time I'm recording this, which is quite a while in advance, they haven't shipped yet, and they're not in stock to buy yet. So I figured rather than sit around and wait last minute, I'd do something ahead of time just so I could be prepared, you know? So eventually we will look at those along with the Green Father Christmas and maybe that Elf Guard or whatever the other figure in the retailer appreciation wave is. But for now, we have Casey Jones and Donatello to keep us company. So stay tuned for the Donatello review later today, as well as a kind of group shot of the four turtles together, which is going to be really, really cool to see. But for now, let's move right along and take a look at Casey Jones' accessories, shall we? So, in true Neca fashion, he comes with a buttload of hands, starting off with a pair of creepy hands, maybe to grab April O'Neil from behind, or grab her behind, maybe. I don't know, Phantom of the Opera is kind of rapey in a way. I'm not gonna lie. He's got a hard-on for is it Christine? So I'd be careful around old Eric in the French opera house there if I was you. He does come with a pair of grip hands. These are pretty tightly clenched grip hands. On top of that, he does also come with a pair of slightly more opened grip hands, because he has two different hockey sticks, you see. The first of which being this smaller one here. Has some nice detail on it. It's got the wrappings and whatnot. And if I'm not mistaken, these are reused from the movie Casey Jones, which I don't have. I have some of the movie figures thanks to my buddy Evil Villain, but I don't have all of them, and Casey Jones is one I don't have yet. So maybe someday I'll be able to pick him up, but I will say, this seems a little warped. I'm going to have to straighten that out. Huh. Didn't notice that before. But it is what it is. Nothing a hairdryer can't fix, right? Then we also get this bigger hockey stick, which I think is a goalie stick. I think they have the big kind of paddle shape on the end here. That leads to the, of course, more hockey stick shaped piece on the end. I don't know what the heck the different parts of a hockey stick are called, okay? I'm not a sports guy, but I know that Casey Jones doesn't exactly play hockey with these. He uses them to beat the snot out of people. And that said, we do not get a golf club or a baseball bat or like a, is it a golf bag or a goalie bag or whatever it is, the thing that hangs off his back. We don't get any of that stuff, and I feel like based off the amount of accessories we get with Donatello, we could have maybe got that stuff, because they cost the same, but Casey Jones comes with significantly less stuff. Significantly less. At least it feels that way to me. That said, we do have some big bulky gloved hands. Kind of reminiscent of the 2012 series. Because I know he had this big, I think this is a goalie pad, on his left arm here. And they have the same little pegs as the hands do, so they're hard plastic, so you don't got to worry about snapping them unless they're too tight. So that's nice. They're not all molded out of the same thing as this hand here. Otherwise, you could probably risk breaking those if you weren't careful. But he's got a little picture on there. I think it's a skull or something. And then got the other glove. I want to say these are baseball gloves. And then this is a straight up goalie pad. I'm not sure. Again, not a sports fan. That said, we do get a couple alt heads with him. We get this one, which has the cracked mask, which is the one I prefer personally. The one I will most likely display mine with. It's more reminiscent of the Phantom of the Opera. That said, unlike the April O'Neil, they do not have the likeness of, what's his name, who plays Casey Jones in the movies. Excuse me. Here, it's just kind of a rotten jawline with some teeth showing. So, you know, it is what it is. That guy wasn't really a big fan of giving out his likeness either, so I can kind of understand why. But, you know, just something to note. These Universal Monster crossover figures, they are kind of meant to be like the Universal Monsters mixed with the movie characters. And other than April and Splinter, they don't really look it. You know, they don't have that vibe to me. They seem just very toyetic. Not in the sense of the Playmates line when they did the Universal Monsters crossover, but just in the sense that they're just crazy, wacky, fun designs. That said, we also get a skull. Whose skull is it? Maybe that Hun guy from the 2003 series. I know he had a beef with Casey Jones. That said, there is a peg hole in there, so you can pop this on the neck peg and just make him a skeleton, like a straight up skeleton guy. So that's pretty cool. But that's your lot. That is all you get with Casey Jones, other than his cape and the hands he comes packaged with, which are a couple of fists, and the head he comes packaged with, which is a fully masked head. So taking a closer look at Casey Jones here. Not to be confused with Casey Kasem's Hot 40 or Hot 100. But there you go. There he is with his cloak, looking pretty cool. I like a lot of the things that they did here. You know, he's wearing kind of like the suit jacket with the little tie and stuff. At the same time, he's got like these big long socks and cleats, like old school cleats, Victorian era cleats. Because for those of you who don't know, like a lot of sports that are popular today, they date back to like the 1800s. Which is when Phantom of the Opera took place. So I like their attention to detail in historical accuracy here. You know, granted, you probably wouldn't wear these things together, but they do have, you know, sports gear from the time period on this figure. So he's got like the knee pads there. He's got some gloved hands. He's got the little, I don't know what you call this. I don't know if this is a coat or a cloak or something. I will tell you, you want to be careful putting this on because it does have a clasp piece that's made out of a soft rubber that goes around his neck, and you really got to get this on his neck in order to get it to stay down. And you just want to be careful putting that on because you don't want to tear this. But it should be fine. It is a rubber material and it does flex. It's got some slack in there, but once it's on there, I wouldn't suggest taking it off. That and his arms are kind of a pain in the butt to get in the sleeves. But as far as articulation goes, his head will lean forward and back as much as the collar will allow. He can look side to side. He does tilt side to side. He has a hinge in the shoulder as well as a swivel. He's got a single joint in the elbow with rotation. I have to tell you, after having that, well, he gets a little bit more than 90, but after having that Figura Obscura Mask of the Red Death from yesterday out here, I will tell you, I think Neca could do a little better with the range on their single joints, but this isn't terrible. That's a little more than 90, so give him a little slack for that. He does have a swivel in the wrist with a hinge, though. I will say the hands are a little loose on this guy, but they don't feel floppy loose. Feels okay. He does appear to have a diaphragm joint underneath his coat here, but you can't really get to it because he's got a rubber overlay. So he can crunch about that far forward, but not a ton. And then he can crunch about that far back. So yeah, he can't really do a whole lot there. He does have a waist twist that works fine, though. That's adequate. Not a lot of tilt side to side. So the torso articulation's not the best on him. It's not the best on any of these. I don't think any of these guys have like torso articulation that's worth a crap. I will tell you, he does have a bendy wire in his cloak thingy here. So you can pose that however you want. But the wire doesn't really work. Because it doesn't go around the collar. And I was mentioning this during the Scareglow review. You can't put bendy wire in something. A, if you don't have it going along the edge. And B, if you don't have it like going around the neck somehow, it's not going to stay up. I don't care who you are. You know, somebody commented on my Headless Horseman video that you could get his cape up. Even though there's not all the wires you need to do that. You need those wires to do that. I don't care who you are. I'm not a toy engineer myself, but in order to get a cape to stay up like this in the back, you need more wire than that. I don't care how good a poser or photographer you are. You cannot do it without that. Okay? There are techniques to make it look like you're doing it, but yeah, if you want it to stay that way, you need more wire than that. So, as far as his hips go, however, he does have in and out. They're more limited than I remember. Let me check the other side. Yeah, they're limited because of the diaper. And then he's got forward and back there. So, kind of limited hip range, but not terrible. He does have a thigh cut. He's got a swivel in the knee. That works okay. He's got a single knee. That almost gives you 90. Let me see if I can push that a little more. Yeah, that's about it. You're not going to get more than that. No, like, boot cut or anything. At least I don't think so. No, I'm not noticing anything. So, no boot cut, but he does have a hinge in the foot with a rocker and peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So, he's got plenty of articulation that works. Does he have a double knee? Feels like he's got another bend here. Oh, snap! He does have a double knee. I thought he had a single. No, he's got a double knee. I'm just realizing this now, so he can get more than 90. Ah, look at that. Learn something new every day. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I did not know he had a double knee. I thought it was just a single. But that's your lot. That's Casey Jones as the Phantom in a nutshell. He's cool. He's got his issues, his shortcomings, but I gotta be honest, it's probably one of my favorite figures in this Universal Monsters crossover line. I really like him. I always thought Casey Jones was a cool character, but this figure is really sweet. It's pretty slick. I like the cloth they used on this robe thing here. His cloak, or whatever you call it. It's a nice kind of almost silk spandexy material. It's probably closer to like a silk, but it just feels nice in hand. But with that being said, before this drags on any longer than it already has, I know it's probably pushing 20 minutes. Or is going to be pushing 20 minutes if it isn't already. Why don't we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is good old Casey Jones as the Phantom of the Opera, alongside April O'Neil as the Bride of Frankenstein, and Raphael as Frankenstein's monster, because these are the two characters that make the most sense to compare this guy to, because at least in the 2003 series, Casey Jones and Raphael fought alongside each other the most, I think, of the Turtles, and were pretty good buds. And then, of course, April O'Neil, if you remember, not only the live-action movies, but a lot of the animated series, they were kind of a couple. Because, let's face it, April, while she likes the Turtles, I don't think she wants to get in bed with them. So, with that being said, let's move them out of the way here. This freaking Raphael weighs like a pound. It's like a freaking lead weight. I don't mean that because he's got big shoes either. Probably also made of lead. Move her out of the way. Plus side with this April, even though it's a female figure, she's got the big clomper shoes, so she's not going to fall right on her tuchus when you move her. She pretty much stands right up. But of course, this would not be one of my videos without bringing in the Mythic Legions of Brother Mandibulith and the infamous Neca 11 Spawn, who is probably about neck and neck with Casey Jones here. And while Casey Jones is close to being a member of the Red and Black Club, an exclusive club for those of you who don't know, I don't think he quite hits the bill. I don't think he fits in quite that much. But I could be wrong. So with that being said, let's move right along and wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and out of all of the TMNT Universal Monsters crossover figures from the fine folks over at Neca Toys, I gotta tell ya, Casey Jones as the Phantom of the Opera is probably one of my favorites, even though he does seem a little bit light on accessories, at least useful accessories anyways. Would have been nice to get the baseball bat, the golf club, and maybe the golf bag to store all his weapons in, but at the end of the day, I think for the price point, and we got to consider there are a lot of other things out there at a similar price point, Marvel Legends, I think you're getting what you're paying for, and he's probably one of my favorites in the line. I'm not going to lie. I think he's really solid. I'm going to put him up there with Frankenstein Raphael as one of my favorites, but that's just me. That said, if Shredder Dracula ever comes out or is ever revealed, y'all know how Neca is with revealing and putting out stuff I want. Gargoyles. Maybe he'll be my favorite. But until then, Casey Jones and Raph are going to patrol the streets as the Phantom and the Monster and kick all the foot soldier booty that they want. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.